Hi, good afternoon, everyone, or good morning, based on where you're joining us from today. We are very excited to be here for the virtual manufacturing roundtable with a number of great marketers that are joining More Visibility for this session today. Looks like we have a bunch of people that are logging in right now, so we'll just give it another 30, 45 seconds here, and then we will kick off with some introductions. In the meantime, we'll do some housekeeping tips right now. For those of you that might have any technical difficulties during the session, please feel free. You'll notice Christy Nazaro, my colleague from More Visibility. Wave, Christy, so everyone can see who you are there. Yes. If you'd like to go ahead and send Christy a message, or you can do so in the chat, she will be fielding that if you need a new link to rejoin in. Otherwise, if you have any questions, this is meant to be an interactive session. So we want to make sure that we are addressing anything that's burning or pressing on your mind. Or if you have any feedback or commentary based on the conversation, we'd love to hear that too. So please go ahead and use the question or the chat icons up on the top right-hand side of your screen. Christy will be answering and fielding those in real time, and then we will try to answer them throughout the conversation where appropriate. Or if we have a few minutes at the end, we can also do a little bit of a roundtable conversation tied to the questions that came through during the next 45, 50 minutes. So with that, I think we're a couple minutes past the hour. We've got a nice crowd on the line here. Let's go ahead and kick things off. So for those of you who I don't know, please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Danielle Leach. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at More Visibility. Many of you, we've got obviously 3 great clients joining me here today, and we've got another number of other clients that are on the line. And some of you, I see your names I recognize, and some of those I don't. So let me just briefly introduce More Visibility. We are a full-service digital agency. We have been in the digital space for 25 years, myself personally for 23 years. And so we are very well equipped in a conversation like this to talk historically just about the digital landscape and what's changed, as well as futuristic looking for the digital world, what's next and what we should be focused on. And obviously, AI is the hot topic for any marketer, and really, I think for any organization right now. So that certainly will be a part of our conversation. We focus on SEO or AIO, as well as paid advertising, social media, content creation, design development, and of course, the thing that ties all of these channels together, analytics, data measurement, and attribution. So we will be recording this session today. I think it will be a great one, joined by some amazing marketing execs from a variety of different types of manufacturing organizations. And I can see from all of those that are joining us today, there's a great mix across the US of different types of companies, from SMBs up through global enterprise size organizations, a variety of different industrial manufacturing type companies. So that is great. And I think that is also representative of the panel here today. So without further ado, let's kick things off with introductions first. And I will share that this is an informal conversation. Like I said, we're going to be interactive amongst the panelists here and want you all to be sending in any questions or feedback, comments that you have tied to what we're talking about, so that we really can get a sense and a pulse of what's happening within your industry, and that you can validate that some of the challenges or some of the successes that you're seeing or experiencing in your organization really resonate with what you're hearing from your peers. And so the conversation today is on an individual basis and does not reflect the company's statements at all. These are our individual panelists that have been gracious enough to be able to spend some time with us today. So let me turn it over for introductions. Carrie, why don't we start with you, please?
Sure, absolutely. Good afternoon, good morning. For some of you, my name is Carrie Robinson. I'm the Vice President of Marketing Communications for Leonardo DRS, which is a global mid-tier defense technology company. So at DRS, we design, manufacture, and deliver leading edge capabilities that our military forces and our allies really depend on to accomplish their missions. So some of these technologies are in the areas of advanced sensing, network computing, force protection, and electric power and propulsion. So my company is based mostly in the United States. We have approximately 25 facilities in the US, but we also do have people in facilities in other countries as well. So I've been in various marketing roles at DRS for 21 years now. And before that, I held marketing positions in the telecommunications industry. So in my current role, I'm responsible for our digital marketing efforts, our business development, marketing, communications campaigns to capture new business, and also our corporate social responsibility program, which is really focused on supporting our military families through charitable donations, volunteer efforts, and cause marketing campaigns. So I am very excited to be here today and share some of my experiences over the years in the areas of digital marketing. As Danielle said, I do work for a public company. Therefore, I just want to express that what I share with you today are my own experiences and on my own behalf and not necessarily my company. But needless to say, I hope I can share some insights with you all and also learn from other people on the panel as well. So thank you, Danielle. Thank you, More Visibility, for the opportunity to be here today.
Absolutely. Great. Love all of that. Appreciate it, Carrie. And why don't we turn it over to Jacqueline?
Hi, everyone. My name is Jacqueline Skagerland, and I am Vice President at Interstate Specialty Products. We are located in Sutton, Massachusetts, and our specialty is die cutting and converting non-metallic materials in the medical, scientific, and filtration industries. As a third generation leader of our organization, I have a lot of different responsibilities. However, I have a great honor and pride in my responsibility of moving our family business forward for future generations. So marketing is a big aspect of that, and acquiring new leads and new business. So my accounting is my background is accounting. So marketing is a little bit outside of my comfort zone. But with the help of More Visibility, I've learned so much, and I've been really excited, especially this past year with all the upcoming changes in the industry and in the world with AI. So it's been exciting times, and I really appreciate the opportunity to work with More Visibility and then learn from Carrie and John as well.
Yes, thank you so much, Jacqueline. And there's so many manufacturing organizations that follow similar suit to yours in terms of multi-generational and family owned, and love that story and love that you can bring that experience, which is obviously very different than a global enterprise operation.
Yes.
Love that you can bring that experience to the table for all of those that are joining us today too. And I think you'll be really surprised that some of the things that you experience are equally the same for very large organizations. So sometimes the size of the marketing team or the dollar signs in terms of the revenue of the organization don't really translate in terms of marketing plan, marketing strategy, or marketing pain points, I should say. So thank you for bringing that part of the conversation to us today. And let's wrap up our intros with John, please.
Morning. Thank you, Danielle and Christy, for and More Visibility for allowing me to join the roundtable. I'm John Macon. I'm the Senior Applications Channel Sales and Product Marketing Manager for Abar Technologies. Abara Technologies is a Japanese corporation, and we are Abara, a wholly owned subsidiary of Abara Corporation. Primarily, we're focused on semiconductor manufacturing equipment. So in the United States, we have headquartered in Sacramento, California, and we operate in two divisions within my company. We have systems equipment division, which is making the computer chips themselves, and then what I'm part of is what we call the components systems, which is ancillary equipment for supporting the semiconductor manufacturing part of it. So with that, Barra has been focused on the growth and really taking advantage of the CHIPS Act money and the growth since the supply chain. And it's really interesting to see how the marketing works out. For primarily, I am a product marketing manager, but I also take care of the corporate marketing. So a lot of my focus is based off of product marketing and not necessarily corporate marketing. So my experience comes from out in the field selling and doing business development.
Great. Yeah, and I think that technical background will bring a nice element to this conversation too, John, because I know I've spoken with Jacqueline about this a little bit also, sometimes hearing it directly from, the floor or directly from the customers certainly helps to bring a unique aspect into the marketing strategy and the marketing plans, or even will help shape what the marketing strategy and the marketing plans may be. So I think that technical background for you with the product marketing will bring a different type of an element to this conversation as well. So thank you for joining. And we've got a nice triangular representation across the United States today, with Christy, Carey, and I coming from the state of Florida, Jacqueline out of Massachusetts, and John from the state of California. So I think we've got our bases covered for geographically everyone across the regions. Thank you again for joining. So some of you may have seen a mid-year marketing report that More Visibility released about a month ago. And this was an executive summary off of a third-party survey that we did from a number of different marketing executives across the US. And we asked a number of different questions tied to 2025's marketing challenges, looking ahead to 2026 as far as opportunities, and then a whole host of questions in between relative to just what these marketers were experiencing in terms of their department, in terms of their resources, in terms of their customer acquisition, different types of channels that they were using. And before we dive into some of the conversation amongst the panelists here, I just wanted to highlight, for those of you who have not seen that mid-year marketing report, I wanted to highlight some of the findings because I think it will be interesting to then tie that into our conversation today. If you're interested in receiving a copy of that mid-year marketing report, go ahead and send Christy a message through the chat, and she can make sure to get that to you. I think you'll find it incredibly helpful and insightful. One of the major responses consistently across the survey that we saw was tied to a need, a concern, a challenge with data measurement and attribution. And so we all know as marketers that this is so incredibly necessary to have to justify budget first and foremost. It's hard to go ask for an increase in your marketing budget if you can't justify the dollars from last year were used wisely and generated business and had a positive ROI, right? So that is something that I know will come up in the conversation today, that we work closely, with all three organizations represented here to make sure that they have a solid measurement strategy in place and that the data that we are making decisions against is accurate. But that was reflected across almost 88% of the respondents in terms of being something that they don't feel confident with in terms of having a good plan in place or a measurement, action plan in place, and something that they need to continue to focus on as we round out 25 into 26. The second thing that came out of the survey findings was around growth for paid advertising campaigns, and how paid advertising campaigns, whether it was traditional search, Google, or Microsoft, whether it was coming from, some other channel or tactic digitally, it was pretty consistent that a large majority of the respondents indicated they would continue to invest heavily in paid advertising as they move into 2026, and that paid advertising was a viable channel for customer acquisition. So I'm going to be interested to hear from John, Carrie, and Jacqueline, their thoughts around that too. And then finally, a third point that really resonated consistently coming out of this survey was looking to the future for 2026, really where the people that took this survey felt the majority of their time as a marketing department or as a marketer themselves might be spent relative to either doubling down efforts and or sourcing or resourcing external support because they knew it was something that really was important to the organization moving forward. So the first thing was social media and how there was going to be a greater emphasis on the influence of social media into their general marketing plan. And then search and SEO. This is something that people really highlighted as having, wanting to keep a tight pulse on. Search and SEO relative to the influence of AI and the brand's visibility within the AI platforms. So think about ChatGPT, Bard, Gemini, Perplexity, right? So this is something that is emerging now within manufacturers' organizations and the marketing departments. It's starting to become a conversation of how do we make sure our brand does show up in AI. Conversely, we had some people comment out of this survey, does it matter if we show up in AI? Do we need to be really focusing or doing anything different? If our site is optimized for Google SEO, doesn't that already kind of carry us into the next generation? So I think there'll be a lot of conversation today around that too. So with that, let's kind of kick things off with a question and just maybe more broadly speaking. And Jacqueline, why don't we start with you, if you don't mind me putting you on the spot first. And then, of course, Carrie and John, please feel free to jump in. But let's just kind of step back here, state of the union, big picture, right? So much has happened over the course of 2025. I mean, it is September, but gosh, it feels like these past 9 months have gone by so quickly. We've had a lot happen within the US economy. We've had a lot happen just across the world globally from an economic standpoint. And it's definitely created some business uncertainty. I think everyone can agree, no matter what vertical you sit in, it has been an interesting year. And that, of course, leads to, internal and external pressures and sometimes tighter resources, which always unfortunately seem to at times trickle down to us as marketers, right? And I'm curious, Jacqueline, what have been some of your marketing challenges over the course of 2025, whether they were, related to events of economic nature or not? Just what have you been seeing in interstate specialty products, and what are your team seeing?
Sure. I think, Google AdWords and SEO have been pretty consistent for so long and so many years that the biggest wake-up call probably happened to all of us this year, where AI came into the spread and it changed everything. So we're getting more inquiries through ChatGPT and other platforms. We're using it more personally for business areas as well. So I think a big challenge is, how do we keep up with it? As a business owner, it's like, how do I stay on top of it? You know, it's another thing to make sure that we're doing and spreading throughout the organization. So marketing specifically, that's a really big part of our business. How do we get our leads coming in every single day and make